Hi team, Ms. Vaughn here to walk you through the theory of knowledge overview. Okay, some people at the end of last semester, when I had an end of semester Google form, they said that the overview of theory of knowledge was still a little confusing for them and it needed to be demystified to some degree, where they would have really liked me to walk through them, what the course expectations were. And so I'm going to do that today. I'm also really bad at lecturing, so I don't have all your little faces in front of me to be able to like stop and have you talk or chat or clarifying questions. So I'm gonna move through this kind of quickly. So first, what I would like you to do is to find this handout that says TOK 12 concepts. You have this handout, you probably have one from last semester. You're just gonna flip this over to write the overview on the backside of this handout so that it's easily accessible and that this paper almost becomes like a reference paper for you for when you go about doing assignments for this class and even writing your TOK essay at the end of this semester. Okay, so let's start off with the core of the class, and that's with this theory of knowledge theme of knowledge in the knower. So I'm going to write that in the center here. So we have knowledge and the knower. And that's at the center. So you are the knower. I am a knower. We individually are knowers. But there's also this implied expectation that you as a knower are a member of different communities. So yes, you are an individual, but also you are part of many different communities that create the knowledge that you have as the knower. So that's why we asked you to do so much reflection last semester, for you to really think about how knowledge has influenced your life or what experience that you have that has influenced you as the knower and the knowledge that you have. So I'm just going to write down below for knower, there's this implied notion that you are a part of many different knowledge communities. Implied that you are a part of many different knowledge communities. Okay, kind of sloppy. Implied that you're a part of many different knowledge communities. Okay, so then IB starts to think, because they like to provide framework so that there's continuity for what discussions look like from my TOK class to Ms. Rutigliano's TOK class to a TOK class happening in Japan. They want to have some continuity. So they think about, okay, there's 5 big themes that really influence the knowledge that we have, who we are as knowers and the knowledge that we have. So there's 5 themes that they want us to think about. And then we as a school, we choose 2 themes that we went over with you last semester. So I'm gonna just label this the knowledge themes down here. And those are language, indigenous societies, politics, religion, and technology. Okay, so these are the 5 themes that we've covered. So TOK wants us to focus on 2. We focused on language and indigenous societies, because we feel like you probably have a good understanding, or you hopefully have kind of robust conversations around these 3 things in your own life. So we wanted to put a focus on this because we also feel like language can really be an umbrella for these other 3 themes as well. So we at Sequoia, we focus on language, we focus on indigenous societies for those knowledge themes. Now, are you limited to only being able to talk about those? Of course not. Some of you talked about the role of technology in your exhibition that you did. And you also talked about religion, and then also some of you talked about politics too. So again, these are the themes. Sorry, I'm gonna bring it in kind of close. 5 themes. We focused on 2, and then this was all first semester. First semester. One thing that I don't like about this, that we're really gonna be seeing with the areas of knowledge is that if we do agree with IB and that we are individual knowers that belong to communities, that sometimes it's really hard for us to make these distinct boundaries between these things, because there is overlap with them all too. So just that's a side note. Okay, so this is first semester, the knowledge themes. This semester, you guys are gonna be focusing on areas of knowledge. So I'm gonna write this up here at the top. Areas of knowledge. Okay, there are 5 different areas of knowledge that we're gonna be focusing on. So the first one is going to be history. And then we're gonna be focusing on the natural sciences. The human sciences. Art. And math. Okay, again, with these boundaries. And we'll probably see this more as we get into it, or maybe you've even noticed this yourself within your classes that you've taken in IB, or maybe just classes in general. That there's often overlap that happens, right? So sometimes the history that we experience or things that are happening in history influence the way that we see the natural sciences or the human sciences. Or oftentimes, or maybe you might think of it this way, there's some implicit math when you look at art, or there's a lot of math that's involved in the natural sciences too. Or math in the form of like data and statistics is often used for us to establish some certainty and credibility when it comes to history. So there's lots of crossover that happens here, even though IB wants us to treat these different areas of knowledge very distinctly. Okay. So from these different areas of knowledge, we're going to be looking at some very specific framework for how we look at the areas of knowledge. You all picked up this packet yesterday at the beginning of class that walked your way through these essential questions that guide each of the areas of the framework that we're going to focus on. So the framework, I'm going to label it over here. The framework is going to look at scope, perspectives, methods and tools, and ethics. Okay, so again, providing us with some continuity for how we examine these different areas of knowledge. We also use this same framework when we looked at language and indigenous societies last semester. Last semester also, you should have been thinking about how these TOK course concepts were showing up in the way that we express language, and also indigenous societies, and how these things also influence you, the knower, and the knowledge that you have. We're going to be thinking about these TOK core concepts and how they appear in these different areas of knowledge for the second semester. So again, with the continuity, the questions that they ask you for the TOK essay, we looked at them briefly in class on Friday. The new prompts get released on September 1st of this year. It asks you a question, and then it asks you to answer it using 2 different areas of knowledge. And sometimes they tell you one area of knowledge that you have to use, and then you have a free choice of what your second area of knowledge is. So we want to be thinking about these TOK core concepts because even though we might have a firm definition of what these things are, they look different in how they're explored in each area of knowledge. So if we think about the second semester, we're really going to be thinking about knowledge in the knower. And then also bringing your last semester, okay, we know the things that really influence knowledge in the knower. Okay, well, then we're going to add a layer of complexity. We, as the knowers, having all of these things that we know really influence how we know things. They influence us even further in how we establish knowledge in these different areas, or maybe challenge knowledge too. So for each, to reiterate, each area of knowledge that we look at, we're going to be looking at it through this framework. So scope, the perspectives that are involved or maybe not involved, the methods and tools that are used to establish knowledge or to be able to take it or accept credibility, and then also the ethics that are involved too. In each area of knowledge, we'll also be thinking about how these TOK core concepts that seem somewhat abstract when we look at them in the list, how they show themselves very concretely in these different areas of knowledge. Okay, we're going to talk about things that influence knowledge as we move our way through the different areas of knowledge. But I just wanted to have you guys kind of map this out so that you can see how you started with yourself in the middle, adding on this layer of the themes that we went over last semester. And now we're going to be adding on another layer of thinking about the different areas of knowledge. And the things that are going to stay really consistent to our framework are going to be how we look at the different areas, scope, perspectives, methods and tools, and ethics. And then our TOK core concepts are going to be the things that are really going to streamline from how you wrote first semester to how you're going to be writing second semester. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense. With your next activity that you do, you're going to be looking at the TOK core concepts, and then just from your own recollection, your experience in your classes, you're going to just be brainstorming how these different TOK core concepts, how they appear differently in these different areas of knowledge. And again, this is a little bit of a review. We did something similar at the beginning of first semester, but since I know that that was a very long time ago and you also experienced summer, I want to just revisit these ideas before we dive into our first area of knowledge, which is history, and we'll start that on Thursday. Okay, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be nice to the sub, be nice to each other, be nice to yourself, and I'll see you soon.